In the beginning of the drama, we see our female lead Eunchae. She is 27 years old. She is a train wreck of a personality. At that moment, she started bleeding from her nose. Then we see Eunchae sitting in a hospital room with her doctor. She asks if another surgery can save her life. The doctor tells her that her heart failure is too severe and her body cannot survive another surgery. Eunchae asks, "So I'm going to die?" In the next scene, we see a religious group preaching loudly on the streets of Haesong. They warn people that the world will end on December 31st, 1999. Eunchae stops and listens carefully. She then asks the preacher a strange but emotional question. What happens to people who die before the apocalypse? Can they be saved early somehow? The preacher awkwardly says that nobody can change God's will. Hearing this, Eunchae sits there and becomes emotional and says she at least wants to live long enough to see the end of the world before she dies. Meanwhile, a child comes and sits with her, but she snatches his jaw bar and eats it. The child starts crying. A little later, we see our male lead Jong. He notices that child crying. He walks over and gently tries to calm him down, even offering him a small treat. Soon, the child's mother rushes over in relief and takes him away. Then the man starts telling about her. He calls her the town's biggest mess and warns him to stay away from her. Somewhere nearby, something unusual is happening. Something buried deep beneath the soil is being pulled out slowly. It will be revealed later. In the next scene, we arrive at the Haesong City Hall complaints office. A man angrily reports that two of his friends have suddenly disappeared. He says 2 weeks ago, his friend Park Young-sik vanished completely, no answer, no word. Then last week, another friend, Kim Bong-pal, also disappeared out of nowhere. This man is convinced something dark is happening. I'm pretty sure they're serial murdered. A staff member urges him to file a police complaint. He says angrily, "The police never listen to me." Then a man enters the complaints office. The moment staff see him, panic spreads. Staff avoid eye contact. One gets a fake phone call. Another suddenly remembers urgent work elsewhere. Within seconds, everyone has disappeared from their desks. Only one person stays, Mr. Leon Jong, a junior official, new but serious about his work. His senior smirks and says, "Isn't it time for your rite of passage?" Then quietly adds, "He's a regular here," before quickly leaving him alone. Eunjong sits down calmly and listens. The man complains intensely. A carp as tall as he is was genetically modified, and phenol is being dumped into the water. He even compares it to a sci-fi show, insisting the fish behaved like aliens. Eunjong checks the records and calmly explains that an inspection was already conducted and warning signs were installed. However, it is private land, so the city cannot legally do more without permission. The man threatens to escalate it to higher officials. Eunjong replies, deadpan, "At Haesong City Hall, we have 11 manager Kims and 4 director Lee. Which one would you like to speak to?" After leaving the complaints office, the older man pulls Jong aside and warns him about Haesong. He says the town may look peaceful, but dark things keep happening there. People have been disappearing for years, just like 20 years ago when many children and adults vanished without a trace. The man quietly tells Jong that he witnessed everything that happened back then. Jong listens carefully and remembers his words. Meanwhile, the religious group continues visiting houses around town. They also visit the old man's house. "Be saved, sir," says the woman politely. The old man instantly gets irritated. "Don't you people have anything better to do? You're such a pain. Go away. I said go away." But before he can slam the door shut, one member of the religious group suddenly reveals his power. Without touching anything, the objects inside the house begin to rise into the air. Chairs shake, papers fly everywhere, and small items start floating around the room. The old man freezes in shock. Back at Hearty Restaurant, Eunchae begs her grandmother for money so she can go on a trip before she dies. But her grandmother refuses, saying money becomes poison if people do not know how to use it properly. Eunchae argues that she at least wants to enjoy life once before dying. But the moment she mentions death, her grandmother becomes serious and warns her never to talk like that again. The two continue bickering until Eunchae finally gives up and leaves the room. Later, while looking at pictures of places like the Northern Light, Eunchae quietly makes a promise to herself. Before she dies, she will travel somewhere no matter what. She packs her suitcase and heads outside, where she meets her kind but unlucky neighbor, known around town as the sappiest sap of Haesong, but his real name is Yuang. Eunchae asks him for money, but he admits he is completely broke after wasting all his savings trying to fix his leaking roof. Still, Eun-chae confidently whispers that by tomorrow, she will somehow become 50 million won richer. Sappy Sap is stunned. 50 million won. Where would Chae and I get that kind of money? In the next scene, we see Han at a flower shop. The owner is desperate. Ever since the heavy rains began, the smell from the nearby area has become unbearable because of the wind direction, and her sales have completely collapsed. No one wants to buy flowers from a shop that smells like something is rotting. Han calmly assures her that the issue will be handled quickly. Han starts talking about his mother's 70th birthday and says he wants to take her to Hawaii because his mother has never been on a plane before. She has no interest in the conversation. She tells him to just take his mother to a Hawaii-themed resort in Bugak instead. A real trip to Hawaii, he says, only leaves people with lifelong credit card debt. Then, before the conversation can continue, Han notices a bug nearby. He starts Han and wildly swatting at it in panic. We then move to Haesong Girls Middle School. Students are Kohen out. And outside, Han is waiting. He's on his phone, talking to his mother. Yes, just wait a little longer. I'll send you to Hawaii. Don't you worry. You know how capable your son is. And then a young girl runs up behind him and steps right on his foot, completely soaking his shoe in a puddle. This is Lee Chong, clearly a student this man knows. Back at the old apartment building where Han and Yuang live, we see more of their miserable daily life. Yuang goes back inside when he hears noise at the door. It's Han again. He walks through the broken doorway, and the swinging door smacks him in the face. Again, his roof is still leaking too. Even after paying 2 million won, water still drips from the ceiling. In the next scene, Eun-chae is at a supermarket when she accidentally bumps into Jong. Word has already spread through the neighborhood everyone somehow knows Han is going on a trip. Neighbors stop her to chat, surprised that her grandmother actually allowed it. Later, Eun-chae steps outside again with her suitcase. On the street, then Jong comes. He notices an abandoned cart. It's Mr. Kim's. Where did he go without his cart? He questions her, asking who she is and why she has the cart. Eun-chae assumes he is the new supermarket manager and snaps back at him. Tension rises as they exchange sharp words. But then he stops, glancing at her suitcase. That's a pretty big suitcase. What's in it? Before she can answer, he suddenly grabs it and forces it open to check. The suitcase bursts open and all her belongings spill out onto the street. Before Jong can say anything, Eun-chae forcefully hits him in the face with a teddy bear. While Eun-chae talks to her worried grandmother on the phone, Jong gathers her scattered belongings and repacks the suitcase. She takes his business card and teasingly warns him that her lawyer will contact him for damaging her clothes. Her grandmother is worried and asks why she isn't home, telling her to come back quickly and not go out in changing weather. She says, "Grandma, can't you just let me go on a trip?" Her grandmother immediately dismisses the idea, insisting it's nonsense and that she isn't in any condition to travel. In the next scene, we see Eun-chae with Han and Yuang. She has been kidnapped. The truth behind it is left hidden and will be revealed later. After that, we see Han and Yuang inside their cramped, run-down apartment again. Yuang complains that he just spent 2 million won on waterproof paint, but the roof is still leaking exactly as before. Nothing has changed. He sighs and says, at least Eun-chae is lucky she's going on vacation with 50 million won. Then Eun-chae comes to meet both of them and reveals her shocking plan. She wants to fake her own kidnapping and demand 50 million won from her grandmother. At first, both men refuse, but after Eun-chae offers them 5 million won each, they agree to help her. In the next scene, Jong's landlord comes to complain again, saying there was noise Kohan from his apartment earlier. Jong apologizes and sends her away. Inside, Jong's apartment is completely trashed and messy. At the same time, he receives an anonymous call. He is already investigating people who have gone missing, and he decides to meet the old man for answers. But when he arrives, the old man is not there. Instead, Jong only finds fragments of information about the religious group. Meanwhile, the old man wakes up inside a sealed chamber, disoriented. He looks around and realizes many other people are being held captive around him. Suddenly, he sees a monstrous figure. Shocked, he whispers, "Kim Bongpao." Later that night, the fake kidnapping video begins to be captured. Eun-chae acts as the hostage while the others wear masks and record the ransom message. But during Philhan, Eun-chae suddenly feels her heart beating dangerously fast. Moments later, she collapses to the floor. Panic fills the room as the men realize something is horribly wrong. Then comes the terrifying truth. Eun-chae is dead. Meanwhile, back at Hardy House, Eun-chae's grandmother becomes worried after failing to contact her. She calls a private investigator named Junmo, asking him to find Eun-chae immediately. Back in the room where Eun-chae is lying still, Han and Yuang are falling apart. Yuang is crying. He grabs Eun-chae's hand, apologizing over and over. Eun-chae, I'm sorry. It's all my fault. Don't die. Please don't die. Han is trying to think. He is horrified, but he forces himself to stay practical. He tells Yuang to call an ambulance. Yuang calls out to him, Han, what are you doing? I told you to call an ambulance. But Han shakes his head. It's too late. She's already dead. Her pupils are dilated. A terrible silence falls over them both. Per Eun-chae. Pause. What about her poor grandma? Another pause. And what about us? Then Han says the unthinkable. For now, we hide her. Yuang is horrified. What? Han explains with cold logic. One wrong move, and they will both be charged with kidnapping and murder. Who would believe them? The woman who came up with the whole plan is dead. There's no one to verify their story. They were her kidnappers when she died. From a legal standpoint, it looks devastating. Yuang protests. He argues. He cries. Eun-chae isn't trash. How could we just dump her? Eun-chae is my friend. Han insists he is not saying dump her. He is saying hide her. Just temporarily. Just until they can build an alibi and find a way to explain everything. Eun-chae would understand. She wouldn't want to be the reason they go to prison for something she planned. Please close your eyes. Yuang begs the motionless Eun-chae, trying to shut her eye. I'm so scared. Please just close your eyes. Eun-chae's eyes won't close. Eun-chae, I'm sorry. Close your eyes. I'm so scared. I'm freaking out. In the flashback, she is pitching the plan in full. She lays out every step. Masks on. One film. One appears on camera with her. Simple. Clean. No chance of getting caught. She even brags. Don't you know I'm smart? If you can't trust me, trust my brain. She is excited. Alive. She says she hasn't felt this way in a long time. And now she is dead. Han and Yuang have a plan. They will take Eun-chae to a piece of land on the edge of town, a forgotten place, abandoned by its owner. No cameras. No visitors. Authorities would never think to look there. Han calls it a land of tragedy. They load her into her own large suitcase, the travel suitcase she packed for her dream trip, and move through the dark, rainy streets of Haesong. Even in this grim situation, the two men can't stop bickering. Han accuses Yuang of not actually pushing the suitcase. Yuang insists he is pushing with everything he has. They go back and forth. Where are we gonna dump her? We're not dumping her. This is temporary. All the way to their destination. They arrive at the hill. They carefully lift Eun-chae out of the suitcase. They carry her gently, talking to her like she can still hear them. Be gentle. Be careful on the way down. 1, 2, and then a voice from the darkness. Excuse me. They freeze. Standing in the shadows is Jong, a city hall official who arrives after a complaint about illegal dumping. Han recognizes him and panics. Jong calmly questions why they are dumping here while filing complaints. Suddenly, he notices something behind them. What's that? Han lies. A mannequin. Chaos breaks out as they desperately explain themselves. Han, it was a fake kidnapping and she died by accident. Jong doesn't believe them and decides to call the police. The call connects to 112 and a unit is dispatched. Police arrive. Jong reports a possible dead body and missing victim. But then the officer points, are you talking about her? Everyone turns. Eun-chae is standing there, alive. Jong is stunned. He believed she was dead moments ago. Investigator checks Eun-chae's phone location, and it shows Jeju Island. That doesn't make any sense. Everyone in Haesong knows that Eun-chae hasn't left this town since she was 7 years old. But the location is real. Junmo calls her grandmother. She checks her room, and she notices something even more alarming. Her bear plush is gone. Her bag is packed. Her savings account bank book is missing. And there is a letter left on the table addressed to her grandmother. At the same time, Junmo calls grandmother again and says her phone glitches. He tries the location again, and this time it shows Haesong, specifically the Hadeilri area. So was the Jeju signal just an error? Meanwhile, the police are already asking questions. They want to know about the victim, Ms. Eun-chae, the granddaughter of Hardy House. And then everyone freezes, because standing right there, alive and breathing, is Eun-chae herself. The police question them about reports of a dead body being dumped. Before anyone speaks, Han tells the others to deny everything. When the officer asks what happened, Han confidently says there was no dead body. Eun-chae is standing right there alive. He claims they were only trying to catch someone illegally dumping waste in the hills after authorities ignored their complaint. The officer logs it as a false alarm and lets them go. In the next scene, we see Han, Yang, with Eun-chae at the hospital. Han proudly calls everything pure denial, while Eun-chae says it was logic and persuasion. Later, Yang asks if she is really okay since she had no pulse earlier. Eun-chae admits she thought she died too and remembers hearing an old man warning her to leave. Yang says she may have had a near-death experience, while Eun-chae jokes she half-died. But the biggest problem is her grandmother. If she finds out about the fake kidnapping and near-death incident, they are all finished. But their worst fear comes true. Grandmother already knows. She suddenly arrives at the hospital, making all three panic. Eun-chae loudly yells run, and they quickly hide. Eun-chae even squeezes herself inside a closet. While hiding, she suddenly feels like she has entered another world, where people are being punished for their sin. At the same time, Junmo sees again change location and thinks glitch. Grandmother furiously orders everyone to come out immediately. Yang immediately says it was all Eun-chae's idea, while Han claims he warned them not to do it. Both of them put all the blame on Eun-chae. Grandmother calls Eun-chae out, saying her friends already sold her out. Still hiding, Eun-chae nervously asks, "Grandmother, can you see me?" Grandmother looks confused and replies, "What nonsense are you talking about? Of course I can see you." Eun-chae then pretends something is wrong with her, acting confused and saying she keeps seeing strange things. Grandmother's anger instantly turns into concern as she rushes to check on her granddaughter. Watching this, Han whispers in shock, "Granddaughter's immunity." In the next scene, we see the same old man again. Somewhere else, in what feels like another world, the old man talks about someone called the Child of Eternity. He remembers children surviving a fire long ago, but he is unsure about that child. However, he clearly remembers one boy, number 3972. He reveals that he saved the child from the fire, and now that boy has returned to Haesong as a grown young man. The old man recognized him immediately, even though the young man did not recognize him. Here, we see that the listeners are members of a religious group. After hearing the old man's information, they begin searching for number 3972. Using what he told them, they trace and identify the child he mentioned. In the next scene, we see 3972 along with other children inside a research facility. Someone asks him if he has a family. He says he doesn't know and can't remember anything, not even his parents' faces. Later, all the children are shown in one room where objects suddenly start floating in the air. Chaos breaks out. A chair is about to hit 3972, but another boy saves him. That boy gets injured, bleeding from his head. He tells 3972 that he cannot die. It is revealed that 3972 has a special power. He can move objects with his mind. Suddenly, it is revealed that the boy is Jong. In his room, things begin floating again as his surroundings go out of control. Eun-chae goes for a medical checkup, and the doctor is completely stunned. Her previous issues are gone, kidneys clear, lung inflammation resolved, heart back to normal, and all reports show perfect stability. Her grandmother asks if everything has improved, but the doctor corrects her. It's not just improvement. Eun-chae is in perfect health. He says he has never seen anything like it and calls it a miracle. Grandmother Kim quietly repeats the word miracle as a memory echoes in her mind. This child is a miracle child. After the hospital, grandmother tries to reach director Choi Young-jun, leaving him a calm but urgent voicemail asking for a callback. Meanwhile, we see Jong. A disturbing sign appears, the Church of Eternal Salvation declaring, "Apocalypse on December 31st. Receive salvation and be granted eternal life." It's clear something big is approaching and powerful forces are already beginning to move in the shadow. Meanwhile, Han and Yang are still shaken by everything that happened. Yang blames Han, saying none of it would have happened if he hadn't assumed Eun-chae was dead. Han argues back that she was dead, no pulse, no breath, so how is he supposed to know she'd come back? They keep arguing over who's responsible until Yang breaks down crying. Han mocks him, then doubles down, saying it's not just his face, but also his whining, a double whammy. He even calls him Sappy Sap, saying he's completely unbearable. At home, Han is drinking when his wife casually asks about the illegal dumping complaint in the hills. He seems completely unaware of how close everything really is and says it's being handled. Suddenly, Han's hand gets stuck to the refrigerator door. He struggles to pull it away but can't move it at all. His daughter Chong notices and asks what happened. Han quickly lies, saying nothing is wrong and he was just getting some cooling. In the next scene, Eun-chae is at the dining table with her grandmother. She asks how she can travel without a passport. Her grandmother says her reports are clear and she is completely fine now, then shows her passport for the trip and asks her to first fill out a form to get a passport. Eun-chae says, "I'm not 7 years old, I'm 27. Her grandmother replies that she will only get the passport after finishing all her food. Just then, the grandmother gets a phone call and leaves. Eun-chae is alone, reflecting on everything that has changed. Her symptoms are gone, no purple lips, no fatigue, no ringing in her ears, no bruises, and her heart is now perfectly normal. She feels like her body has been renewed after her near-death experience. But something unsettling remains. She keeps seeing visions. The old woman's voice and that strange place she can't explain. She wonders if it could be time travel, but quickly dismisses it as hallucinations from lack of oxygen. Still, a disturbing thought lingers in her mind. Did I lose my mind in exchange for a healthy body? Jong arrives at Hardy House asking for Eun-chae. His appearance immediately draws attention. When Eun-chae comes out, she goes on the attack, asking why he is there and if he came to pay up. But Jong doesn't respond aggressively. Instead, he asks a strange question: how many times she has died and whether it was the first time. He then mentions the word Wunderkinder. Neither Eun-chae nor Yuang understand it. Yuang even thinks it sounds like a duck restaurant. Jong gives no explanation and simply leaves, saying, "Okay, if you say so." Left confused and uneasy, Eun-chae suddenly remembers the camcorder footage from the fake kidnapping still in the abandoned greenhouse. Realizing the evidence is still there, she panics and blames Yuang, ordering him to peel onions for days as punishment. In the next scene, Jong follows Eun-chae. Using his powers, he tries to drop objects on her while she stands under a shop, as if testing whether she can die or not. He hesitates for a moment, thinking that if he is wrong, she could really get hurt. But when Eun-chae notices him and runs, he follows her again. She leads him to the abandoned greenhouse where her suitcase and camcorder are kept. There, Jong finds the camera and watches the recording of the fake kidnapping. Realizing the truth, he uses his powers to bring the entire greenhouse crashing down over Eun-chae. Yuang calls Mr. Han and asks where he is. At Hardy House, Mr. Han calmly answers the call and instead asks about the flowers Yuang was supposed to deliver. It becomes clear Robin has been mysteriously displaced to a completely different place without any explanation. Meanwhile, Mr. Han also learns about Jong's power. At the same time, a member of the religious group is present there and, upon seeing Jong, immediately recognizes him. He looks at him and says, 3972, it's you. Eun-chae suddenly finds herself on a ship in the middle of the ocean, far away in international waters. She has no idea how she got there. One moment she was elsewhere, and the next she's here. Junmo, tracking her phone, is equally shocked. Her location has shifted from Haesong to the middle of the sea in an instant. On the ship, dangerous men spot her. Confused but hostile, they decide not to question it and immediately plan to throw her overboard. Eun-chae panics and screams for help as she realizes she's in serious danger. In the next scene, we see director Choi Young-jun. A man arrives to meet him, the head of a research group connected to the facility where Jong was seen. He greets him calmly. "Long time no see, Director Choi." Behind him, a framed award reads Lifetime Achievement Award. Next to it is a photo of grandmother Kim and Choi Young-jun together. Whatever they are discussing is tied to Eun-chae, the children from the fire, and a long-buried secret from decades ago, something that will be revealed later. In the next scene, we see a detention facility. A man carrying a holy Bible is being visited. Then the visitor asks something strange. Since the man carries a Bible everywhere, has he been saved? The Bible man doesn't answer directly. Instead, he coldly says all religions are deception, tools made to control human fear and make death sound beautiful. Then he pauses. He says he is the real deal. He actually created the child of eternity. The visitor leans in and asks where the child is now. If the child of eternity truly exists, he wants proof. He gives the man one last chance: cooperate or lose parole forever. The Bible man quietly quotes a scripture: "Now faith is confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see." Then he adds, "All who believe in me shall receive salvation." But a thought crosses his mind. The child of eternity he remembers was definitely a boy. In the next scene we see Jong. He tells himself it's okay. The child cannot die, and there's only one way to confirm the truth. The scene suddenly shifts to a ship where 3 men are firing at Eunchae. But in the middle of the attack, she suddenly disappears into thin air, leaving everyone stunned. That person is Eunchae, and she is teleported again, this time to Jong. The moment she places a hand on Jong's shoulder, he instantly pushes her away with one hand. Here we see members of the religious group talking about number 3972. One confirms it was him, and another immediately recognizes the number. He says 3972 was the kid Palho used to hate, because when his powers first appeared, their father's attention completely shifted to him. The older member tries to end the conversation, but the other says it feels too strange to be a coincidence. Why is number 3972 back in Haesong? Did anyone ask him? Someone explains that 3972 threw a variant into the air like he was searching for something. Then comes the question, could father have called him back? He replies father would never call someone without informing them first. Still, the doubt remains. The senior member decides to investigate it himself and warns the others to stay quiet until then. And then Dr. Ha-won appears. The man they call father calmly says, he asks, why are you still standing here? The subordinate bows and leaves. One says something is definitely fishy in this town. Now we check in on Eunchae. She wakes up and finds someone watching over her. Then she notices something alarming, a perfectly round hole in the wall. She asks what happened. Yuang awkwardly explains that they threw a soda can at him gently, but somehow it pierced straight through the wall like a bullet. He also tells her that Mr. Han found him unconscious in an abandoned greenhouse and brought him here. Then Eunchae tells her friend it wasn't a near-death experience, and it wasn't time travel either. Her friend scoffed. Of course not. How could that even happen? Teleportation? Mr. Han is at work, getting scolded by his boss for a late delivery. He tries to explain, but she mocks him for having no friends. Suddenly, his strange ability activates again. His hand gets stuck to a flower pot and won't come off. And just then, a message appears on a phone nearby. Someone is sending a text saying a new variant has appeared, that they need to know what's going on. They ask to be contacted. At that moment, Eunchae and Yuang arrive to Mr. Han and reveal they're also experiencing strange things. Yuang can move instantly. Eunchae keeps teleporting and strange incidents are happening with them. Mr. Han refuses to believe it and tells them to leave. Yuang shows proof he was nearly shot in the ocean. Then Mr. Han gets stuck again like he's glued in place. The group realizes something is wrong with all of them. Yuang suggests superpowers, but Mr. Han rejects it completely. Finally, pressured, Mr. Han admits the truth. Someone tried to kill her in Greenflower House, a man he calls Mr. Oddball, the City Hall Gaijong. Eunchae walks into a city office alone and sits across from the City Hall Gaijong. She tells him she almost called the police, but decided to hear him out first. She mentions what he did to her in the abandoned greenhouse, the strange energy blast. He acts innocent and says he doesn't know what she's talking about. When she starts to say he quickly shuts her down and formally says he cannot discuss that matter. Workers watch Jong struggle with a difficult woman called Lady Trainwreck. The seniors refuse to help, saying it will make him stronger. If he survives her, he'll become a master of civil complaints. Outside, Yuang and Mr. Han anxiously wait, wondering if Eunchae is safe inside. Eunchae comes out, and Mr. Han panics, checking if she's hurt or missing any fingers or toes. They all get into the car and start arguing. What did the City Hall guy say? Why did he blast her with energy? Is it a superpower or a disease? Eunchae yells that's exactly why she needs them to follow him, so she can ask everything. They speed off to tail the City Hall Gaijong. Across town, Ms. Kim's grandmother is visited by police who inform her that Director Choi has committed suicide. His family is abroad, and the suicide note he left is addressed to her. She reads it in silence. It says Dr. Ha-won-do is innocent, an honorable scholar, and that those judging him are the ones who have sinned, begging them to seek his forgiveness. A flashback appears. Director Choi is being interrogated by a Dr. Ha-won asking one final question. Where is the child of eternity? Before he can answer, someone orders him to respond. In his final moment, he whispers, Hardy House, Madam King. On the news, an explosion is reported at an orphanage in Haesong. Firefighters discover a hidden lab beneath the ruins where children were being kept. The children are now under government care. The lab chief is identified as Dr. Ha-won-do, accused of illegal experiments on the orphanage children. Reporters swarm him as he is escorted away, while a holy Bible lies nearby. Police officers visit the Church of Eternal Salvation after a missing persons report. The calm leader insists everyone is there voluntarily. Inside, The building looks luxurious and peaceful, but something feels off. In the basement, a man behind a locked glass wall screams for help, yet the officers cannot see or hear him. He is completely invisible to them because of a girl's power. Unaware of anything wrong, the police leave, thanking the church for its cooperation, while the man continues to beg in silence. Eun-chae and the group tail the city hall guy to a remote area and end up waiting 2 hours at a bus stop for Haedil-ri as rain threatens. To pass time, they play a word game around Superpower, easing the tension slightly. The city hall guy then walks over. Eun-chae blocks him and grabs his bag, and the group follows him to the Church of Eternal Salvation. They confront him, saying they know he has a power and want answers on how to control theirs. Mr. Han fears they might be used for experiments or part of a government plan. The city hall guy calmly says he expected them to use their powers in a tough situation, but they didn't. He offers a deal. He'll forget their pursuit if they forget about following him. He refuses to explain anything and tells them he can't help with their complaint. Eun-chae asks if he's telling them to figure it out themselves. He says yes, then tells them to leave. Then suddenly a nearby police car has gone wrong. Officer Jiang-hwan goes limp, and the vehicle starts smoking as fire breaks out. This is all done by the entity, the child of Dr. Ha-won, because one officer was affected by their virus. Eun-chae and Yuang rush in immediately to pull the officers out. Despite the heat and risk of explosion, Mr. Han watches from a distance, yelling at them to back off and wait for emergency services, calling them reckless. But Eun-chae shouts at him to use his superpower if he has one. He refuses, insisting he can't and that he's not like them. Inside the burning car, Yuang struggles to free the officer but can't reach. The fire spreads fast as Mr. Han paces outside, torn and helpless. Then Jong suddenly lifts the car with his bare hand. Shaking and in tears, he manages to raise it, shouting that he's useful now while Eun-chae cheers him on. But the crisis worsens. Mr. Han accidentally gets stuck to one of the officers, his adhesion power activating at the worst moment. The fire closes in and Yuang is too exhausted to help. Eun-chae refuses to leave and tries to free them while Mr. Han panics, begging her to escape. In a sudden break, his power releases on its own. And then by the powers of Yuang, they collapse outside, alive. Then we see investigator Junmo visiting the grandmother. Here we learn that she has been investigating director Choi's death on her own. Junmo tells her that the CCTV footage has been erased. There is no proof left behind. In the next scene, Eun-chae asks if they just worked as a team. They saved 2 police officers together. For nothing. No money, no plan. Just because it had to be done. Yuang agrees and excitedly asks if there could be reward money for saving them. Eun-chae immediately gets interested too. Mr. Han just stares at them in disbelief. Before anything else, the city hall guy speaks. He says he's done. This isn't his problem. They should handle their powers on their own. He has nothing to offer them and doesn't care to. Then he turns and walks away. Next scene. Jong goes to the library to research everything. Their powers, the incident, and the condition of the police officers. He starts searching for any connection, trying to understand what is really happening and who is behind it. But something is wrong with the police officers they saved. Eun-chae checks Haesong Hospital, but there's no record of them. No admission, no ambulance, nothing. The 3 regroup in shock. They clearly reported the accident, saw the ambulance arrive, and watched the officers taken away. But every record is gone. It's as if it never happened. Someone erased everything. The unsettling truth becomes obvious. Someone is collecting people like them, people with abilities, and covering it up. The injured officers, the variants, and now possibly them. Yuang is the first to say it out loud. If those people find out about them, will they disappear too? Eun-chae admits she's terrified. Kim Tal-ho confronts the city hall guy, calling him 3972 and questioning why he returned to Haesong. The city hall guy says he's only here because he was assigned, not by choice. Tal-ho reveals they are collecting defective people to cleanse the world, but the city hall guy rejects it, saying they are all the same. Even Tal-ho. Tal-ho calls them Wunderkinder and tells him to leave and not return. Later, Eun-chae goes to Jong again and interrupts him, telling him the police officers they saved have vanished, no records, no memory, nothing. The city hall guy still tries to dismiss them and send them away, but she presses harder, asking if the same thing will happen to them, if they'll disappear too. He finally answers, stay quiet, lie low, stop gathering in public, and stop making themselves noticeable. That's all he says, but it's enough. He tells her quietly there is no expiration date on power. He almost died the first time too. And then, he ended up like this. He looks at her and says 3 words that carry everything. you won't die. Then she walks out, shouting to everyone, I am not dying anymore. Jong sees her and smiles. Then we see Kim Palho following Eunchae. Jong notices and starts following Palho instead. Palho is about to use his power to hurt Eunchae when Jong suddenly pushes him away, stopping him. Afterwards, Jong calls Eunchae and asks to meet urgently. She agrees. He gives her a yellow uniform. Next scene, Eunchae stands at City Hall in her yellow uniform, greeting everyone cheerfully. She has already convinced the City Hall guy, her master, to give her a temporary position. She asks him endless questions about the cafeteria, touches his desk, and casually uses a massage stick on coworkers, acting completely at home. Then she calls her grandmother to tell her she got a job at City Hall, crediting the City Hall guy for helping her get in. In front of everyone, her grandma confidently announces, the granddaughter of Hardy House. Eunchae gets a job, and she is on duty now. She then casually asks for rice cake, but suddenly she's told that she has visitors. She looks up and sees Dr. Hwondu standing there with the children. He looks at her and says, Madam Kim, you haven't changed. Before anything else can be said, the door of Hardy House quietly closes behind them. Next scene, we see a flashback of Dr. Han Won-do placing a small device in Eunchae's ear, a machine that allows her to hear his voice, and asks, can you hear Dad's voice? When she realizes she can hear his voice, she becomes happy. Next, we see the facility engulfed in fire. Dr. Ha Won-do tells Eunchae and the other children, I will come and find you, so until then, keep yourself hidden and don't get caught, okay? She doesn't want to leave, but she has no choice. She runs. She disappears into the dark. The children decided to keep their identities secret and live in hiding. They waited for their father to keep his promise and return for them. In the next scene, we see Eunchae older now, when a familiar voice crackles through. Jiran, it's me, Dad. In the next scene, we see Dr. Ha Won-do, who runs Hardy House. He shows no sympathy, saying he never cared about the children who suffered and died in the experiment. He defends himself, claiming he and the children risked everything for the Immortality Project and that it succeeded, but he was still treated like a criminal. Madam King rejects this, saying she never supported the project for success, but for the suffering children. The conversation shifts to the real question, the child of eternity. We hear a child screaming and begging as they are repeatedly forced through painful death. They plead for it to stop, but the torment continues again and again. The child of eternity cannot die, but they feel every death completely. Each time it happens, the suffering repeats endlessly. He orders her to answer. Under pressure, she finally speaks. That child is dead. The room freezes in shock. She repeats it once more. Dead. But an unseen voice refuses to accept it. The child of eternity cannot die. Then we see a flashback where Dr. Ha Won-do is doing an experiment on one child who is crying. Just stop it. The scene shifts to Hardy House, where the women are preparing rice cakes for Eunchae. Grandmother suddenly asks if someone came by earlier, but Wonju tells her she's been alone the entire time. In the next scene, Jong's strange power appears again. Reality seems distorted. Objects are suddenly out of place, leaving Wonju's landlord shocked and wondering if an earthquake or something supernatural just happened. In the next scene, Eunchae is in a cheerful mood, watching the northern lights and trying to teleport there herself. At the same time, Dr. Ha Won-do passes by with the entity children, and we are finally shown their abilities and rank. Kim Palho, ability, gravity, rank S. One girl, ability, hallucination, rank S. Another child, ability, brainwashing, rank S. In the next scene, we see Mr. Han noticing his daughter Chong using an old music player. She explains that her CD player broke. Mr. Han offers to buy her one for her birthday, but Chong jokes that with his allowance, she'd probably have to wait until she's 40. After she leaves, Mr. Han checks the broken player and realizes he can't afford a replacement until she's 60. Jong turns around and finds his whole team waiting for him. He's surprised to see all of them together. Mr. Han explains that Jong asked if they were free on Friday for training, so they all came. But Jong is left confused because he never planned any special training at all. Their supervisor, Mr. Young, sees the group together and jokes that Leon Jong has finally formed a team. The group immediately introduces themselves. Then the bus arrives, and board members and head get out together. But the moment Jong hears the destination, he remembers Kim Palho's warning. Realizing something is wrong, he quickly leads his team to the other side instead. They think he's given them special training, but Jong shuts it down immediately. There is no special training. He explains seriously that in real life, people with abilities aren't admired like in movies. They are feared, avoided, or even taken away if the wrong people notice them. He warns that exposure could mean losing their freedom, even their family. He tells them the truth. They must learn to control and hide their ability, and there are no shortcuts, only repetition and understanding their triggers. Then he makes it clear no one leaves until they figure something out. The team panics, joking about trial by fire, but Eunjong calmly tells someone to lock the door from the outside. The door shut. They're officially stuck inside until they learn to control their powers. Inside, the team begins their self-discovery mission, and it is as chaotic and funny as you would expect. In the next scene, we are in Dr. Hwondu's lab. A doctor reports that a new entity's vitals are declining. Without hesitation, Dr. Ha coldly orders, scrap him, treating him like another failed experiment. Two Wunderkinder girls watch in silence. Horan worries they could be discarded too if they fail or develop side effects. The other girl insists they trust father, but Horan suspects he is hiding something, especially about 3972. She is quickly shut down and told to focus on the mission. They're reminded of the final rule. If they fail to find the child of eternity, both they and father will face death. In the next scene, a failed entity from the mission is disposed of, thrown into boiling hot water like waste. We also see the old man who is still in prison. His condition has worsened, and he is now suffering from a serious disease. In the next scene, Grandma puts a poster outside Hardy House announcing that her granddaughter Eun Chai has gotten a job. She happily shows it to everyone, stopping people to share the news, and the neighbors congratulate her warmly. In the next scene, Grandma asks Junmo if the CCTV data can be recovered. Junmo explains that only one surviving clip remains from a back camera. We then see Dr. Hwondu, with the entity group and Kim Palho identifying Eun Chai and I as someone connected to 3972. Dr. Ha immediately orders her to be collected, but as they move in, Eun Chai and I suddenly teleports away. All of this is being watched by Grandma through the security camera system. Back in the container, Chai and I is training her teleportation, focusing on one destination, the Northern Lights. She has been thinking about it since earlier and decides to try again. She closes her eyes and concentrates, repeating the same thought again and again until she finally activates her power. But her teleportation doesn't land perfectly. Instead of the Northern Lights, she ends up inside a random bar in the wrong place. Back in the container, Mr. Han and Yuang burst out laughing at Eun Chai's failed landing. The scene shifts. Eun Chai's phone rings. Her grandma is on the call. She quickly tells her she's busy. Grandma tells her to come home immediately. He tries to calm her and says he'll pick her up, but the call keeps breaking up, voices cutting in and out, making communication unstable. Finally, she hangs up. Here comes the biggest twist. Grandma is not actually with Junmo, but with Harun, an entity child who had taken Junmo's form. Grandma recognizes her immediately and quickly calls Junmo. Junmo says he is at home. Grandma tells Harun not to call her Miss Kim. At that moment, Harun returns to her real form. Then Grandma asks her who her father is. Harun says Dr. Hwondu. Grandma says this is not true. After losing all those precious children, my own child was the one who had to pay for that sin, not me. You needn't bother. The past 20 years have already been hell on earth. Harun tells her, I'll show you true hell on earth. Meanwhile, we see that Junmo's call was still connected. Grandma tells him to find Eun Chai and I immediately. Back in the container, Mr. Han is getting frustrated. His magnetic ability keeps activating randomly, sticking and unsticking objects with no clear pattern, even different body parts at random times. Eun Chai tells him to think harder, insisting there must be a rule behind it. Yuang struggles, then suddenly remembers something important. He was crying when it last activated. That becomes the clue. Emotions, specifically tears, might be the trigger. The group immediately gets excited and tries to force it. They make him cry and even try punching and training him at the same time to trigger the ability. It becomes chaotic and painful, but slightly comedic as they keep pushing him. After multiple failed attempts, Mr. Han suddenly stops and says he might have figured something out. Something in his body has changed. After the training session, Eunjong steps outside and reaches the edge of his patrol area for the cleanup. A calm, composed cult member appears beside him and says, I'll see you later. Eunjong explains that this is the end of his patrol zone. The man agrees, but says he was instructed to see the cleanup through to the very end. Eunjong politely tries to dismiss him, but the cult member refuses to leave, saying their shepherd, Kim Pelho, gave the order. The name makes Jong react for a brief moment. Then the cult member tells Jong to return and take his position back. At that moment, Kim Pal appeared. A tense confrontation begins between Jong and Kim Pal, and a power struggle breaks out between them. And then suddenly Eunchae teleports into the fight between Jong and Kim Pal. A car is about to fall on both of them, and Eunchae screams before instantly teleporting back to her room. There she tells everyone what happened, saying Master is in danger. Then she places her hand on Wang, and they both teleport back to Jong's location. Eunchae tries to teleport Jong and Wang as well, but it doesn't work. At that moment, Kim Pal uses his power, throwing surrounding objects into the air and hurling them at them. A car falls toward Jong and Eunchae, but Wang's powers suddenly activate, and Kim Pal notices it. The scene shifts. Jong and Eunchae are now in an unknown place after teleporting. Eunchae is unconscious, and Jong is calling out to her, but she doesn't wake up. Meanwhile, Kim Pal finds that his powers don't work on Jong, and he becomes more aggressive, repeatedly attacking him. We then see Junmo arrive at the container, where Mr. Han is stuck to the ceiling. Mr. Han falls down on Junmo, and immediately Junmo asks where Eunchae is. The scene shifts again. Eunchae suddenly regains consciousness. And then suddenly Jong loses consciousness and collapses. In the next scene, we see that Kim Pal is infected. Horan also pushes back, creating tension, but another girl named Lee shuts them both down and orders them to control themselves until father finds a cure. She forces Horan to apologize to Kim Pelho, which she does reluctantly and without sincerity. Pelho wonders if 3972 will ever come back. When asked why she is so lenient with him, she simply replies, because he's cute. We shift to Eunchae, who is curiously searching through someone's completely empty room. No photos, no belongings, nothing at all. She wonders how a person can have no memories left behind. A neighbor shouts downstairs, complaining about the noise she's making, but Eunchae is distracted by something far more disturbing. When her friend sees what's wrong, it's revealed that Jong has deep, old scars, evidence of a painful and hidden past. Now Mr. Han asks Yuang about the attackers. Yuang explains that they call themselves Wunderkinder and says they are too powerful to deal with easily. In the next scene, Grandma receives a call from Junmo. He tells her Eunchae is safe now. Meanwhile, we see Junmo is standing at the place where Kim Pal and Jong were fighting earlier. Eunchae is taking care of Jong, wiping his face with a wet cloth as he mutters in his sleep, don't. She teases him lightly, but there is softness in her actions as she prepares a wet towel. Then he suddenly whispers, don't go, Mom. She had always believed he had no mother, and even remembers him saying so. He responds half asleep, calling her a prickly son, then gently says that even without a mother, he turned out fine. Her grandmother stops her and asks if something is wrong. Eunchae casually replies, it's the northern light, acting as if nothing unusual is happening before running off again. The group reunites at Master's place. Yuang, Eunchae, and Mr. Han. Master clearly isn't happy to see them, but Eunchae confidently tells him, we still like you, Master. Yuang awkwardly calls their relationship a strategic MOU partnership instead of friendship, making Eunchae laugh at how shy he is about admitting he cares. Here we see Haran secretly following Jong. Master reluctantly agrees to help them understand their powers. He tells them to find their secret switch, the trigger that activates their abilities. They need to observe when their powers appear, disappear, and what emotions or situations cause the change. He asks Mr. Han if he knows his trigger yet. Mr. Han thinks it might happen when his heart races, but admits he's become too emotionally numb to react strongly anymore. Before Master can continue, Eunchae excitedly suggests that maybe Yuang's trigger is crying. Yuang quickly denies that idea. Yuang then realizes his own powers seem to activate mostly around Mr. Han and Eunchae. Their presence affects him somehow. To test emotional triggers, Master gives them a harsh lecture about wasting their lives and lacking purpose. It doesn't make Mr. Han cry, but it does make Yuang angry enough for his power to activate. He suddenly grabs Mr. Han's hand so tightly he can't let go. Then the serious training instantly turns chaotic when cockroaches appear everywhere. The entire group starts screaming and panicking, forgetting all about the training session. Our views are different now, Master tells Horan calmly. Dr. Hanwon is not our father. Horan is hurt. She believes he abandoned them because of Palho, but Master makes it clear that he has chosen these people as his new family. Then Then Horan reveals something painful. When Master used to cry in his sleep for his mother, she was the one who created the image of his mother for him. She comforted him and stayed by his side all those years. Furious, she asks if he really plans to stay with these losers, even if it means dying with them. Master quietly answers, yeah. Horan is left shaken and angry. Back in the training area, the cockroach chaos suddenly stops when all the insects vanish at once. The group realizes it was Horan's doing all along. She used her powers to create the swarm and test or warn them. Now that the chaos is over, Master reveals something important. A Wunderkinder came to see him and asked whether he had found the Child of Eternity. Master explains that the Child of Eternity is the only successful Wunderkinder, a person whose heart never stops beating, even after death. They always come back to life. He admits he has been searching for this child himself, but has found nothing, making him wonder if the child might already be dead. But then he reminds himself that the Child of Eternity cannot truly die. Then comes the shocking reveal. Master looks at Eunchae and says, like you, Ms. Eunchae. Eunchae is stunned because when she almost died before, her heart had stopped and then suddenly restarted. Master says he even suspected that the Child of Eternity's heart might somehow have been transplanted into her. Eunchae is horrified and denies it immediately. But then Master reveals something even bigger. The person who funded Dr. Hwondo's illegal experiments on children 20 years ago was King Jeonbok of Myeongdong, Eunchae's grandmother.